Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review for today's press conference reaction and latest news show. Our, of course, late morning show is a regular fitting now at the channel every morning, 11:30, guys. But if you do enjoy today's show, as usual, give it the thumbs up, guys, as that's still very important to the channel. And of course, if you are new and you like what you see, please do subscribe. But make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. Support the channel in the usual two ways, membership and super chat. And of course, if you, well, a massive thank you to Mamaroo Records for sponsoring the channel. And of course, pop in and see Steve in the middle of Whitley Bay for all your music needs. If you can't get into the shop, check them out online. It is pinned at the top of the description. So I hope you are staying safe out there. Certainly the guys and gals in the northeast, it is absolutely unbelievable. It's a long time since I've felt wind like that since Billy Trey let one go on a deadline day. So it is extremely windy here up here in the north, and yeah, so please stay safe, guys. But Eddie Howe has been talking to the media, of course, ahead of the big game at Southampton tomorrow, in which I am still 100% confident that we will win. More confident than I've ever been. I think Southampton are a very, very poor side, and we can go there and absolutely destroy them tomorrow, and that's what I'm looking for them to do. So Eddie has been speaking regarding injuries and team news, etc. Now, we'll start on Miggy, because he was asked about Miggy being, of course, available for transfer, and he said that Miggy is still here at the moment. There is clubs interested. He did admit to that. However, what he didn't say was the deal is going through very soon. He said it might not happen during the transfer window. However, Ben Jacobs is reporting that the deal is done. There's an $8 million fee in place, but Miggy is still training with Newcastle United because the MLS hasn't started yet. So Eddie, we know what Eddie's like in press conferences, guys. He's very coy. He's very quiet. He doesn't give anything away. But the Miggy thing is just annoying now, isn't it? I mean, just get him gone. I don't like the way Eddie keeps saying he's an important member of the squad, because that's bollocks. He's not. I think Eddie wants it done just as quick as anybody else. But Eddie, being the dignified guy that he is, he will turn around and say, he's a member of the squad, or he's a good member of the squad, or he's a valuable member of the squad. Whatever he wants to come out with, I just get the deal done. Now, as for Nick Pope, he said that Nick Pope has a chance of being in the squad for tomorrow's game. In other words, it looks like Pope will be back, but then he's got a decision to make. Does he bring Nick Pope straight back into the lineup, or does he wait and put Dubravka in, as Dubravka, for me, has done very much everything he can to earn that #1 spot? For me, Dubravka plays. I'd be quite pissed, actually, if he brought Pope straight back in, because remember, before Nick Pope got injured, he wasn't playing very well. You know, he'd let some real stinkers in this season, and to be fair to Dubravka, he's come back and done really, really well. Lots of clean sheets, and he's performing brilliantly, and no complaints from anybody really about how he's been performing, and he's to the point that he's earned an extension on his deal to possibly stay at the end of the season or beyond that. But I think it's vital that he keeps his place, because I wouldn't like to see Nick Pope come straight back in. I think that would be a big mistake. Kevin says, play Dubravka still while he's playing. Well, we shouldn't change it. Keep Dubs on his toes as well. Yeah, of course we will. The fact that Nick Pope would be back would make it even more so for Dubravka to keep playing well, because he'd know that there's pressure on his back now. Nick Pope is fit again. There's a challenge for the #1 goalkeeper's position. And for me, Dubravka miles ahead of Pope at the minute. Paul says Pope has to earn it, or Dubs start to not perform. Leave Dubs in. Why change for the sake of it? Exactly. Julie J says, I never thought I'd say this. Dubravka has been amazing. I was one of those who wanted him gone. You and many others, Julie. But the thing is, he's deserved it, hasn't he? He's performing really, really well, and there's really no issue in that. Now, the only issue I can see for Eddie tomorrow is who he plays at centre back. I think that's going to be the big one for me. what I would say is he talked very highly about all of them. Dan Burn, he talked about Fabian Schär as well. He's over his illness now. And the reason that he brought Sven off was because he felt he was a little bit fatigued. Now, he did say last week it was because he wanted a right and left foot there for a bit of balance. So does he go with that bit of balance tomorrow? Does he go with Botman and Schär? Does he continue with Dan Burn? Now, look, I know Botman wasn't great last week, but neither was Dan Burn, but neither was most of the 11. So, it was a one-off game. It was pretty dire, wasn't it? Let's just forget about that. Carlos says, goodbye, Miggy. Please take Longstaff, Target, and Oddie with you. Mason says, if Pope comes back in straight away, I think Dubes will have second thoughts on staying. Well, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Because he did speak about Dubravka and said that nothing was confirmed yet about Dubravka staying, which kind of piqued my interest, because he did say that talks had gone very well. They were very, very much advanced, but he's not privy to it all. And that Dubravka, it's still not certain whether he's going to stay at the club or not. So that's interesting, isn't it? Is he going to stay? Is he not going to stay? And why? So I think it's really interesting that if he does bring Pope straight back in tomorrow, I agree, Mason. I think Dubravka could change his mind and bugger off. And I wouldn't. Would you blame him for playing so well and then suddenly Pope comes back and he's fit and he puts him straight back in? If I was Dubravka, I'd be off as well. No doubt about it. JT Toon says Dubes keeps his place, no doubt, and I think it'll be a Burn-Botman combo tomorrow. The team suits Burn's game to a T. Target also has been very good when he's got a chance, but he isn't in the same league as Lewis Hall. In my opinion, it should be Fabian and Botman. Interesting. Daryl says I'd put Pope on the bench, make him work hard for his place to get back in the team. Well, he should. He should be made to work hard to get back in the team, because Dubravka's done everything possible to deserve that number one spot. Absolutely everything possible. And for me, there is no reason at all on this planet that Nick Pope walks straight back into that side. And I think it would be absolutely disgusting if he did that. Thanks, Ash, for retweeting. Nice one, matey. Choppy says, hi, Paul. It's good that Nick Pope has come back in. Then there's competition for goal. I know that, yeah. But what I'm saying is Pope doesn't get straight back in for me. There has to be that competition. And also the fact that Pope is back will keep Dubravka on his toes, like has been said earlier on. I think it's... Jonas says it's not Dubes, Paul. It's Dubs. Oh, dear God. You're really, really bringing me up on that. I'm sorry, but I'm from the Northeast, so I'm going to say Dubes, not Dubs. Simple as that. Michael says should play Botman in his right position. So for me, Botman and Schär. Ollie says, who would you have as number one, Paul? Well, right now, Dubravka. Dubravka, definitely. 100%. And nothing would sway me on that. I don't think Nick Pope was good when he got injured. Up until his injury anyway, I don't think Nick Pope was playing very well either. So I would definitely start with Dubravka. Good morning, Omar. Hope you're doing well. Yvonne says Dubravka has to stay between the sticks until he loses form. It's only fair. Yeah, football isn't fair. That's one thing we've got to know about this game over our course of growing up and becoming adults and seeing the football world, is that it's never fair. If football was a fair world, there'd be no PSR. We would be buying top class players. We'd be top of the league and winning the Champions League. So, football can be a very strange game at times. James says, hi, Paul. Can you give me a shout out? It's my birthday. Love the show. James, happy birthday, mate. Hope you have a cracker. The Pete says, Paul, when will the club evolve and invite yourself and other fan channels to ask questions at press conferences? It would be a very good look for the club. Well, I agree, but I don't think they will. Certainly in any time near the future. I think we're in a position here as fan channels, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. We are a media presence now, and I don't think there's any shadow of a doubt about that. Or some are, some aren't. But I generally do believe that some are media channels now, because we get to say what's happening, we get to talk about it, we get to interact with other fans, and I think it's it's great that we get to do this. But the problem I've got is they will only ask the right people, even if they did invite fan channels. They'd only ask the right ones. And you know what I'm saying by that. The right ones who will only ask the right things, that never criticize, that never show heart on sleeve stuff. They're never brutally honest. And that's the type I think would get invited. We as a channel, we've never had any contact from Newcastle United men's team at all. Nothing. But maybe that's because we are very direct and we are very honest and we are very open and wear heart on our sleeves. There is channels out there that are very much yes people who will bow down and do what everybody wants them to do. I think that's the beauty of this channel, that we don't do that. You know, we can be controversial at times, but isn't that the whole point? You know, the whole point of being a channel is actually saying how you feel, being honest. And yes, if you're controversial, well, so be it. Controversy is a part of life. And, you know, we will always do what we do on this channel. We will never kiss backsides to get anywhere. We'll get there by hard work and keep doing it via hard work and nothing else. Not kissing ass or trying to get one over everybody else. We will do it by hard work. It's as simple as that. And if it happens, it happens. But, you know, it is disappointing at times. And you see certain people getting sort of invites to left, right, and center. And you think, well, you know, just because you're honest, can people not accept the fact that you're honest? And yes, sometimes we're brutal, but that's the whole point. And nothing will change that on this channel. Nothing. Absolutely no way. Anyway, Eddie said we need to learn from Bournemouth. We need a response. I have no doubt the players will respond. We will go to Southampton absolutely focused. Southampton are a proud football club, and we will have to be at our absolute best. Now, obviously, he's not going to go out and say, oh, Southampton have been absolute gash this season. They've been completely tripe. The 6 points in the Premier League, they really are terrible. He's not going to say anything like that. But what I said last night on the preview show, and Eddie's reiterated here, we need a response after Bournemouth. Now, Eddie spoke about the Bournemouth game this morning and said and mentioned the word fatigue. I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest, to hear him say fatigue. I'd rather he just went out and said, look, it was a bad day at the office. Yes, we know the players were tired. All right, I'm not denying that at all. I know the players were tired, but so were Bournemouth. They'd had 3 games in a week with a crippled squad. But Bournemouth came and did a job on us. And I'd just rather sometimes that, you know, we turn around and say, bad day at the office. We didn't perform very well. The players want to go out against Southampton and get back to starting another winning run or something like that. But we do need a response. Absolutely 100%. And I expect a response. That's why I've said that I believe we will go there tomorrow and we will convincingly win the game. Because I think we have a much better first 11 than them. We are much better individual players than them. But the team ethic that we have right now at Newcastle United, you know, the run we've been on, and yes, it was, I think they should use last week as a real kick up the arse for me. A real kick up the arse and go out there and tell the rest of the Premier League that that was a one-off and the bubble hasn't burst at all. We are really competing this season. And that's what I want to see from the team tomorrow. Now, on recharging this week, he did confirm that a few players had been away and had a rest. And he said, when you look back at the Bournemouth game, the players looked fatigued, as I just said there. It has given us a chance to rest a few bodies and minds and get back to work. Now, we've seen certain players this week confirm that pictures of them being away with the partners and the families, just to recharge the batteries a little bit, just to get rid of the Bournemouth feeling, because, we've heard from certain players saying the dressing room wasn't a very nice place after the Bournemouth game. And quite frankly, that's understandable. The dressing room shouldn't have been a good place to be after the Bournemouth game. But what they needed to do was get it out the heads, get away for a couple of days, come back to training fully focused, ready to go for the Southampton game. And that's what I fully expect. I just really do. Anyway. Eddie Howe on the Southampton challenge. He said it was, when he mentioned Southampton, he also spoke about the game at the St James Park to start the season, when it was a strange game, that one, because we were utter shite up until the sending off. Southampton dominated the game. But he said it was a really difficult game against a newly promoted team. They showed their qualities that day, that they are a very technical team. They have a very aggressive man-to-man style off the ball, and we're going to have to deal with that. Yes, in a way, deal with that. But I don't think we'll have to be physical. If we play our footballing game and pass the ball around quick and just play the high, intense game that we have been known to play in the last few weeks, I think we'll win the game comfortably. I think we won't even have to get into the physicality side of the game. But if we do, we have to be disciplined. And we spoke about this last night. And this is something I wish that the press would have asked Eddie this morning, is about the likes of Joe Linton and things like that. You know, the report that came out about Joe Linton being the highest player in the Premier League for fouls and well, dirtiest player in the league, if you like, which is a load of crap, by the way, because he isn't. But the stats would show otherwise. But I'd love someone to sit there and ask Eddie what he thinks of that. And, you know, has he had a word with Joe Linton? What is his thoughts about Joe Linton and his physical side of it? Do you think he was lucky against Bournemouth not to get a red card for that challenge? Because I think he was very lucky. But there wasn't any questions like that. Just square Eddie up in the face and ask him, what is he doing? Does he worry about Joe Linton's physicality? Because I'd love to know what the manager actually thinks, you know, as to how he plays, you know, Joe Linton. Does he look at it and think, oh, Joe Linton's, he's walking a tightrope, I best bring him off? Because we don't really see that sometimes. Yes, he's been changed a couple of times for tiredness, but actual, you know, risking and walking a very, very thin tightrope, it's, yeah. Now, he did speak about Sven Botman. He said it was a big challenge for Sven. He's been magnificent since he returned, but he's been thrust into action. By and large, he's been excellent. He is one we will look after. So, I mean, what do you take from that? Do you take it that he's going to start Botman tomorrow, or do you take it that he's going to rest him and play Schär and Burn? I think it's a massive risk bringing Fabian Schär back in because he's been dross lately. Absolute dross. Yes, we weren't good. You know, and I guess the cracks were appearing against Wolves as well, weren't they? You know, Wolves had a few opportunities. But at the same time, I do genuinely believe that Botman and Burn were outstanding for the winning run we went on. And they should really be rewarded by that, by continuing in the team. Because, like I say, the whole team was off last week. It wasn't just the centre-backs or defence. It was everybody. So I really do genuinely think that maybe Botman deserves another chance alongside Burn, because the problem is, I have a major problem, and Stato mentioned this last night. You know, Schär came on last week and he was in the second half and he was nutmegged immediately, and he didn't recover from that. So where do you go with a guy like Fabian Schär? Do you actually risk playing him, or do you go with a centre back pairing who, yes, they're both left-footed, but what I will say is Sven Botman can kick a ball with his right foot as well. And he's done that numerous times. He's hit diagonal balls across the field on his right foot, no problem at all. So maybe he can do that again. But I really do hope he plays Sven. I really do. Now, he spoke about Nick Pope, and we've already mentioned Nick Pope in the show. He also mentioned Callum Wilson. Yes, he's still around, guys. He is still around. Callum Wilson is looking like early February, which means that would be next week, wouldn't it? Because it's the 1st of February next Saturday. And that is the beginning of the month. So I would pencil him in possibly for the second leg against Arsenal. But this is Callum Wilson, guys. Let's just take a step to the side here. Although that is his expected return date, is that really when we're going to see Callum Wilson back? I don't know. I really don't know. Kevin says Schär shouldn't be considered a risk against the worst team in the Premier League history. He should be more than capable. Yes, you're right. Absolutely, Kev. No problem at all with that. You are right. But I just think he's, you know, these types of games, and we've seen in the past, Schär switches off. He switches off so many times. And quite frankly, I'll say it. I don't think Schär deserves to start the game. I don't think he deserves to start yet. I think Botman and Burn have done enough to start the games, and I will not change my mind on that. Mark says, I've no doubts there will be a huge response. This group of players will be hurting badly after getting spanked like that, and will be desperate to vent their frustration on another team. LG, no Schär and Burn run was down to Tonali saving them, especially Burn. If Tonali wasn't on, the goals would have been flying in. Sorry. Well, I don't... listen, part of Tonali's game is to help the defenders, right? That's what a defensive midfielder does. And if your defensive midfielder is doing your job, then obviously that takes a lot of the pressure off the centre-backs, doesn't it? So that's exactly what you're saying there. And it's right, but that's Tonali's job, is to take a lot of the weight off the centre-backs. And he does it to perfection. Absolute perfection. Let's have a look. Davey says, let's be honest, all the centre-backs we have are shite, including Botman. Davey, I've got no idea what you're talking about there. Get away and shite, man. Come on. Shite. Give over. Look at how... Listen, Dan Burn may not be an elite world-class player, but he's been brilliant this season. And as for saying Botman shite, dear God, have a serious word with yourself, Davey, will you? Martin says, just my opinion. Fabian Schär, for me, has been our worst centre-back this season. Would put Kelly in before him based on his performance this season. I'm not sure, Martin. Listen, it's an opinion. And, you're right to have an opinion. Kelly, I'm still not sold on Lloyd Kelly. I think he looks okay. He's certainly got the build and the physicality for a centre-back, but I'm just not sure yet. And the fact that maybe we're looking at offloading him within, since the summer, we're looking on offloading him, then that would say to me that they're not 100% sold on Lloyd Kelly either. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Juventus thing. Do you think, Paul, it was the pressure of getting the record that made them crumble? And now that Monkey is off the bat, they can go back to how they were before. Well, if you believe what Eddie Howe says, no, he wasn't bothered about that at all, to be fair. Neither with the team. But maybe a little bit, but I genuinely believe, and I'll say it till, Daisy, our mascot, comes to roost. Daisy the cow comes home. I'll say it. I think we just had a bad day at the office. I'm not putting it down to fatigue or any of that crap. Bournemouth were just better than us on the day. We didn't turn up. We had a bad day, and it's just time to forget it and move on and cripple Southampton tomorrow. Peter, good morning. Trippier and Schär's legs are definitely going. They have to be moved on at the end of the season. We can't give them new deals. It's like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. I think Schär will get a new contract, Pete. I think they're well down the line with that for an extension. So I do. So, yeah. Oh, wow. Somebody insulting my glasses saying that they man their average. Very funny. It's called fashion, mate. But, these glasses help me see. People wear glasses. Get over it. Paul World says, how many goals did we concede with Schär not closing down? I counted at least 3 because he's so lazy this season. Yeah, that's the thing that really pees me off about Fabian Schär, is the fact that he gives that I don't know whether he's being lazy, but he certainly gives that body language impression. When he gives these passes across the box that just don't get to the target. The just lazy balls played away, or his lazy clearances when he clips the ball towards the midfield and it goes to fucking nobody. That's when he infuriates me. LG says, I'm sorry, Burn wasn't even in the box for 2 goals and you're blaming Schär. It's a joke. Burn was shocking. Listen, Schär came on and was shocking. Burn was shocking. I'm not saying anybody deserves any praise. They were all shocking. Yvonne says, if we play like we did against Bournemouth with 4 goals against us, Arsenal will be licking their lips to take us on. Yeah, well, let's just put that right before them, shall we? Let's just go out there, play our game, and just destroy them. Problem is, a ref is ignoring fouls on our players continually. Then frustration sets in, and retaliatory tackles start with our players a bit tit for tat. Yeah, listen, we know that there should have been bookings. Tyler Adams should have been booked well in advance of when he actually did against Bournemouth. And you're right. However, certain times in games we have to keep our discipline because of the way the game's going. When Joe Linton made that tackle, if he was sent off there, it was good night. Yes, we got stuffed in the end. But what I'm saying is you can't take those risks. If you're in a close game and you need your players on the pitch, and then you look at afterwards as well, you're talking suspensions. So I agree that sometimes we're getting chopped down and the referee's clearly not backing us up. clearly not backing us up. But the problem is discipline within our players. We have to stay disciplined. And I know Joe Linton is a very physical player. He loves getting stuck in and protect his teammates. And I would never take that away from his game. But you've got to think of the long term as well, especially when you hit a situation like we would if we bring nobody in this transfer window. Now, that's what I do. That's what I do want to talk about in this window. Sorry, about the window. Eddie spoke about this morning, and it was a little bit strange, really, because again he was asked about whether Newcastle United are not bringing anybody in. I think Luke Edwards asked him directly, does this mean Newcastle won't be bringing anybody in? And Eddie kind of just laughed and said, "Look, how many times do I have to answer this question?" And he said, "If there is an opportunity of bringing a player in, then we will go for it." And he was asked about Kusanov. About the agent saying that Newcastle were very close. And Eddie spoke about, Newcastle did their due diligence behind the scenes with a view to signing the player. But obviously it didn't happen. But this gives me an idea that Newcastle do have certain targets behind the scenes that we don't know about, that maybe if that opportunity comes around to sign them, then he will sign them, or Newcastle will sign them, depending on whether we can do a deal that keeps Newcastle safe from PSR, etc. If you're asking me directly, personally now, do I think we'll bring anybody in? I still believe we will. I still believe we bring at least one in. And listen, I may be floating away in the clouds with this and completely out of my mind, but I genuinely do believe that Newcastle United will not take the risk of not having backup in certain positions. In very important positions on the pitch. They have to. Otherwise, the good progress they've made this season is just going to be wiped out. And we can't take that risk. I genuinely believe that that's how they feel behind the scenes. The fact that Eddie's admitted that we were in for Kusanov says to me that it's not all dead and buried. And what Eddie did say is he sat there and said, never say never. He said, I'm not going to sit here and say, no, we're not going to bring anybody in, because you never know what might come around in the next week or so before the window shuts. You never know what opportunities will come around. So he's not directly saying, no, nobody's in. And listen, I've already seen a couple of reports this morning after the press conference saying that Eddie confirms Newcastle won't buy anybody, even if they get rid of some. That's not what he said at all. And this is where, some parts of tweets go out after the press conference saying Eddie confirms Newcastle not bringing anybody in. He didn't say that. What he did say was never say never. So how is that, no, we're not bringing anybody else in? Especially when he's admitted that Newcastle were interested in Kusanov. There was an opportunity, but it didn't happen. Newcastle couldn't make the finances work. So we are definitely looking at players. But then when you see tweets going out immediately saying Eddie said, he didn't say that. And I think that puts a bad angle on the manager, because those people that didn't watch the press conference are then sitting reading that going, oh, well, Eddie's confirmed nobody's coming in. Oh, what the hell? That's not what the guy said. So I still genuinely believe, as a fan, we bring somebody in. I think we have to. Niall says, by not having Share there, we are losing an attacking weapon. Jory Dan says Kusanov would have been far better off here, mind. More chances and building for the future. City will have 8 centre-backs when fit. I doubt we will get much of a look in. Look, I think Kusanov was generally interested in Newcastle, and I say this because a few weeks before this transfer actually took place, Kusanov said he would move to Newcastle. He actually said that in an interview when he found out Newcastle were interested. Kusanov was always moving in this window. But then, obviously, people have scouted him. Big teams have scouted him. He is a very, very good player. Very good player. And I think you're doing him a bit of injustice there, saying that he won't get a look in. He will get a look in because he's talented enough. Rufia Benicius says, Lloyd Barre deal to go to Villa has stalled. We weren't keen on him on transfer show, but you never know. We could be in for him. Martin says Murphy needs the season of his life if we don't sign another right winger, showing very promising signs. Long may it continue. Murphy will be under a lot of not pressure. Murphy loves what he's doing right now. But it's fair to say that those front three were absolute rot. absolute rot against Bournemouth, but that's not going to take away how good Murphy's been this season. I think he's been excellent, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they respond tomorrow. I really am. It's going to be a game where, look, it's not a banana skin. It's not anything. It's a team that are rock bottom, one of the worst teams ever in the Premier League. They have 6 points. We are in a very different position than we were against, Sheffield United that time that they hadn't won, Luton, etc., Nottingham Forest last season. We are a very different animal this season. So I fully expect us to go there tomorrow and win well. If we don't, then I think we can be very annoyed as fans if we don't go to Southampton and win. I think we can be very pissed off, to be honest. However, we'll see how the game goes. Matchday Live will be available tomorrow, 2:30 in the afternoon. Join myself for full commentary of the game from St Mary's. But don't forget, we are back tonight. TTR Friday. We'll have more football discussion with me. Alex and Sam, I believe, is with us tonight as well. So we will all have a little bit of banter, a good laugh, and also get you guys on as well to tell us how you're feeling about the Bournemouth defeat and what you think will happen tomorrow at St Mary's. So lots to go through tonight on TTR Friday, so don't miss that at 7 o'clock. But listen, thank you very much for tuning in this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again to Mamaroo Records for sponsoring the channel. If you're ever in Whitley Bay, head in to see Steve for all your music needs, your vinyls, your CDs, your music merch. They do some sport merch as well, gift cards, all that kind of jazz. And of course, we can't get into the shop. They are online. That is pinned at the top of the description. And of course, thank you, mods. You've been absolutely fantastic this morning. But thank you all to you guys out there for watching and supporting these morning shows as well. I'm really glad I've kicked them back off again because it gets interaction with you. If you're watching this on a rerun, please do give it a like and a subscribe if you're new to the channel. And we'll see you all again at 7 o'clock tonight. But in the meantime, stay safe out there in the wind, guys, and have a good day. Take care.
Come back and check out some green.